I'm Jameson. I'm a full-time fireman with Lone Peak Fire.
A
Also
captain with Lone Peak.
captain at Lone Peak Fire.
I'm Landon Flack, also one of the co-owners of Drp IV, also a firefighter, captain at
Captain.
captain at Lehigh Fire, so nearby, and yeah, born and raised here in Utah. Been with my lady for a couple years now, and um, definitely a very blessed guy. Just yeah, living in the good old state of Utah. Yeah, so Drip started, well, before Drip started, about 7, 8 years ago, is probably, we were made paramedic partners. We were assigned to each other. Jameson and I worked for the same fire department. We worked for Lone Peak, and while we were working there, we got put as partners on the ambulance and developed a really close, strong friendship from that. And yeah, I guess during that time, thinking about it, we went on like a handful of calls. Um, I mean, we go on 911 calls every day, but I mean, there were specific calls where we'd go and we'd pick people up, people that were like deathly ill or, had severe migraines or their worst hangover that they've ever had kind of thing. And yeah, we'd pick them up in the ambulance and take them to the hospital like we do. And route to the hospital, we would start an IV and give them nothing more usually than anti-nausea medication. And pretty much the impressions that I think that made on us that really created Drip was how well people responded to even just saline and Zofran. Um, I, I know it happened more than once where we would get to the hospital and our patient would be like, "Can you take me back home now?" Between the time of picking them up and getting in the hospital, they had such significant impacts on their well-being that yeah, they wanted us to turn around and take them home. And unfortunately, how the service works, that was never really much of an option. We had to deliver them to the hospital, kind of thing. And I think we always knew that was kind of a breakdown of the healthcare system. Like, man, this is so over the top. Taking people to the ER to get a banana bag and to get sent home an hour later, feeling great, but still going through that whole process. And it was sometime later, I remember, Jameson, when you were actually in charge of the inventory at Drip I'm sorry, at Lone Peak. And I went and asked the chief, I was like, hey, would it be all right if I purchased some IV kits to take home for personal use for myself if I ever got sick, or for friends and family? And unconventionally so, the chief was okay with that, and he let me get a couple of them, and Jameson even purchased them in my name for me, dealing with the inventory with the department. And I remember the first time that I had the opportunity to give a treatment was to my friend Regan, and she was super sick, and ran over and gave her treatment. And she posted just a little video being like, I have great friends helping me feel better. And she recovered significantly quick after that IV. And soon after that, I ended up blowing through all my IV kits that I purchased and brought home just from friends and family needing it and wanting it. And I mean, all for free, and they're just to help people, kind of thing. And yeah, I think it just kind of really hit home at how impactful IV therapy could be. Fast forward sometime a couple years later, even, I ended up getting a call from a friend. Her name's Heather, who we share a mutual friend down in Arizona named Chelsea, who just had a baby and was experiencing postpartum. And she called me up, Heather did, and she's like, Chelsea is receiving IV specialists at her doorstep. And she's like, guess what, Landon? She's like, the owners of the company are firemen. And so I ended up getting on the phone, calling up the company, reaching out and getting a hold of not one of the not one of the firefighter that were the owners, but the nurse.
Yeah, the nurse.
He was like a third owner, and I talked to him for like 15 minutes is all, but it was 15 minutes that was enough of an encouragement in like, hey, we can do this. He pretty much said it's a lot of work, but if you've got the grit and grind, you definitely can do it. So I got off that phone call, and the same day ended up calling up Jameson and said, hey, hear this out. We've got to do this. And Jameson, I mean, I won't speak for you, but I remember you being like, done, let's do it. And 9 months later of hard work, and we got some help from other people that helped us start the company. But yeah, the rest is history from that point.
Yeah, I mean, going back, me and Landon would sit in the kitchen as new guys and just bounce ideas off of each other. He came from, business degree, business classes at BYU, and me, I was in the corporate world doing construction, and so we always talked about, starting something and let's do this. And even the construction company I worked for had franchises, and we looked at that, and it was just constantly talking about ideas. And so, like Landon said, fast forward, he eventually left Lone Peak and went to Lehigh. He stayed part-time for a little bit, but we still kept in contact. And I think it was just that relationship we had built over time that when he came up with this idea, he called me, and I was like, dude, I'm sold. Let's do it.
Even our first week, I think, blew our minds. We put a lot of work into marketing ourselves and putting ourselves out there before we launched. But I just remember, kind of saying a little prayer, being like, oh man, I hope we can do 1 or 2 treatments this first week. And I think we ended up doing like 15.
Yeah, we actually got a call the night before we opened, the actual start date. The guy called us and was like, hey, can you guys do a drip? And we're like, done.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty influential person in especially Utah. But yeah, his wife was pregnant, feeling sick, and so he called us up. I don't know how he found us, but we actually did a drip before our grand opening, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that was a good experience. Well, I think, embarrassingly enough, to say this, but wasn't it like Kim Kardashian or something along those lines that was started using IV therapy in her home? And I think that's actually where our counterparts in Arizona, they heard the idea and they're like, man, we should do this. And they started running with things. Yeah, I think celebrity endorsements across the country and the benefits that they were experiencing. I mean, they weren't gaining much from touting about the wonderful benefits of IV therapy. They were just excited about it, and they were feeling the effects of it. And I think that that's kind of the combination between influential individuals across the country speaking truth of their experience with IV therapy is kind of what surged the popularity of it. And I think now with the case studies that show how profound hydration and nutrient intake is to the modern world, the combination of trying to get that modern advancement in medicine, as well as the influential popularity of celebrities and influencers,
social media in
general. I think it was just a combination effect, and I think this is a significant need for everyone to have this healthcare provided to them. And it's not even just the comfort of the home, but rather, like, oftentimes migraine patients are the first one that come to mind. They don't want to take 2 steps without feeling like they're going to vomit, and light sensitivity and all that jazz that they experience. So the blessing to be able to be home, to be in the comfort of your home, and have somebody come to you, and making that so easily accessible, I think is what's driving the popularity of the mobile side of things. But it sells itself, really.
Yeah, the convenience. I mean, I think about when we were running all the calls, we had a call at 2:30 in the morning with someone with food poisoning, and they have 3 or 4 kids at home. The wife can't take the husband to the ER to get an IV and leave the kids at home, and to have the ability to have someone come there and treat the husband, and by the time the drip was done, he was up and out of bed.
Oh yeah,
mobile. I mean, that's
the guy that came to FitCon and gave us like all hugs.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a good experience for sure. Yeah, it's popular because it's effective. It does the job, and yeah, it's becoming more and more popular for that very reason too. So
I think the world we live in. I mean, I look at my parents and those their age, and fitness wasn't that big of a thing. And being proactive about your health. I mean, you look at the diets then to now, it's a little bit different. And I think the world we live in now, everyone's pretty pro health and trying to prevent, these chronic illnesses and diseases, and they just want to be better and in shape. And I think that's a huge driving force in my mind is people are actively looking for ways to be healthy and live a good life.
yeah, I think in combination with that, I agree with Jameson. I also think more on basic terms, the rapid hydration alone. Um, dehydration is the driving force for lowered immune system, brain fog. Just, I mean, across the board, I think most of us are dehydrated, and our body's functionality or functionability, I should say, is based off of proper hydration down to the cellular level. And if we're not adequately hydrated, I think we suffer in so many ways. So IV therapy, reasons why, we touched on it. Like you said, everything from pregnancies to after pregnancies with postpartum. We talked about depression. We talk about the fitness industry and being fit. Everything from pre-workouts or pre-competition to recovery and aid afterwards. IV therapy covers both those boats, acute and chronic illnesses across those boards. But it's the rapid hydration. It's the most efficient absorption of nutrients, and it's a surge of nutrients, which drives your body's metabolism and drives its functionality in the way that it should. And yeah, those are, I'm kind of getting all over the place, but yeah, there's various reasons. It's so broad.
It is so broad. We've tried to pinpoint it, but the spectrum is so wide. It's hard to, I mean, there's really a drip for anybody if they really think about it. I mean, like Landon said, I think where the areas we can kind of help the most and people feel it the most are going to be, those acute illnesses or even some of the chronic, but, hangovers or, the flu, migraines, those people are going to feel a lot more. But the ability for someone who is like chronically dehydrated to get an IV and to see how it affects their sleep and their mobility and that pain of getting out of bed as we get older, they're gonna feel it. And yeah, honestly, just the nutrients and the diets that we have now aren't what they used to be. A lot of processed foods, and so we aren't getting the nutrients we need. And IV is a way that we can get it, and the absorption rate, like Landon was saying, is much more through the IV than it would be orally.
As a whole, what Drip's mission is and why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, our mission really is just leaving everybody better than we found them. To the person that's feeling great anyway, but just wants a boost of energy, they're going to notice subtle increases in energy boosts, and it can last for quite some time. For those people that we've talked about with either acute or chronic illnesses, they're walking around at 60% of who they are or 50% of who they are, being just beat up with a weakened immune system or what have you. And that surge in energy and nutrients and hydration, bringing them back up to 90% of who they are, 95% of who they are, they're feeling like such substantial impacts. And so, yeah, our mission really is to leave everybody better than how we found them. Whether it's that incremental with just the people looking for boosts, or substantially with people that are suffering from something much worse. And I think we keep doing, I mean, we've dove into migraines quite a bit, and I think about why we keep going. Um, if I had hair, I would have pulled it out by now with how difficult it is to run a company. And it's different now. Drip's so much different now. We have 45 families that are part of this organization, that employees that depend on us and depend on us doing well. And we've got preferred clients and members of our company that depend on us to have the utmost safety precautions put into place, and the highest standard of care and the best product that we can offer them to best serve their needs individually. So there's a lot of weight on our shoulders, but honestly, I mean, I remember going with an IV specialist when we first started, to a gal who had that migraine that honestly single-handedly has had the most impact on me and the company. But there's been hundreds, if not thousands, of experiences, whether I know about them or not, that have happened since then. But this one migraine gal, 3 or 4 times a year, she'd go to the ER. Her family would take her to the ER, and they called us up, and we went over, and I went over with the IV specialist, and we were able to start an IV, and she was a very, very hard stick, meaning that it was difficult for people to get her IV. And the guy I was with, he got it first try, which was so awesome. Very confident in his skills. And we gave her a migraine cocktail, and within half an hour of starting the IV, she was already feeling better. I ended up getting a call from the mom later that night, in tears, just thanking us for putting this together, this company, and for it having such a positive impact on her daughter. And she's like, I truly believe we're never going to go to the ER again. And we have since treated her many times since, and grateful for her, as well as everybody else that we had the opportunity to impact. So for me, yeah, it's the impact on people's lives, knowing that not only the company, who has now become our family in essence, and the impacts that we're having on them, but also to the community that we serve, to all the clients that we've ever, the thousands and thousands of clients that we've now come across. And to them, that's why we keep fighting, even though it's challenging, and it's been a rocky road by all means, but we keep trudging forward, keep improving, keep getting better. We have a better team now than we've ever had, and we're super excited to see what mountains we're going to climb next.
Yeah, I mean, we got into the fire service not for the money.
Yeah, no.
We definitely didn't start Drip for the money. But I think when we were coming up with the idea of a company, we didn't want to sell a product. It was more, we wanted to find a service that could help people. And I think we're both in line with that. When we were looking and talking and discussing things, we wanted to be able to provide a service to people, to help them and better their lives. And it's interesting to how my mind has changed. Like Landon, it's awesome to help the community, but then you have these people who work for you and they rely on you to feed their families. And, you get to see them have kids as we've started this company and to buy homes and grow in their lives. And the impact, I mean, it's cool to see. And at that point, it's like we're carrying this not only just to help the community, which is awesome because you can change someone's life, but you're changing these people's lives for the better. Some of these nurses come from hospitals, and the hospital environment can be really good and it can be really bad. Same with the fire service, and to see them come out of that and to be able to leave and do this instead and to provide for their family, it's pretty cool.
That's a loaded question. What's not next for Drip? Honestly, we've got a lot of awesome endeavors that are coming down the pipeline right now. The one that we're very excited about is creating custom IV packages to the individual's needs, to our clients' specific needs. And that's coming directly from one of our new partnerships that we've been working really hard on, being able to partner with, should I say their name? BioReach,
Mhm.
yeah, which is a new
Say
blood lab company here in Utah. They're doing awesome things. Anything else that we'd like to tell the Drip community? Yeah, I mean, that's such a hard question.
that is a hard question.
I'll tell you this, the non-Drip community or the community that we haven't serviced, if you've never tried IV therapy, you should, and you need to. You will become a believer. We offer HSA cards. Unfortunately, we don't bill insurance. That's a challenge in and of itself. Down the road, possibly. So it is cash based, and we are working with medical professionals. So the service, we've tried to get it as affordable as possible. But if you have an HSA card, we accept those. And that's a big thing. But honestly, if you're suffering and you feel like a surge in hydration and nutrients could serve you well, it will, and it will surprise you. I mean, I'm a concrete believer in it. I was sick 2 weeks ago, and I got a treatment, and family members that gotten sick and firefighters I were with were out for a week, and I felt like I was out for a couple days. So I think it substantially helped my situation, especially when I got it, which was big for me. But to the community that hasn't tried it, you need to, whether it be by us or somebody else. It doesn't. It does matter, but you need to experience it. With working with us, we do have the convenience of going to your home, to your doorstep, and we pride ourselves in our hiring process to hire the most compassionate, educated, professional nurses, and they're the ones that are going to listen to you, and they're the ones that are going to cater to your needs and your individual expectations, and to help you achieve your wellness, quicker. So
Yeah, I think for me, it's more, I want to hear from you,
yeah,
especially in the Drip community, those who have used us, how it has impacted you, and um, what we could do to make the service better to help you in the future. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this.